Welcome to our house. This is the Screenplay Podcast. I'm your host, Evan Grenis, and with me, as always, from Jackson, Mississippi, is PGA Tour player Andrew Novak.
What's up, guys? I'm not always in Jackson, Mississippi. Just happened to be here this week, starting my fall season. So we're doing screenplay on the road.
Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Screenplay_podcast. New episodes every Wednesday, 8 a.m., wherever you listen to your podcasts. We've also partnered with Wager Games, giving our listeners a $100 deposit match on the Sleeper app. Get the promo code in our Instagram. I'm looking at it right now. I like the Baker Mayfield under 242 yards on Thursday. Go to our Instagram page, click the link promo code, get your $100 deposit match. We'll start off with Monday night. There was two games. I think we're only going to talk about one. Honestly, one of the games was unwatchable. We'll talk about the Lions defeating the Seahawks 42-29. Goff threw a perfect game, 18 for 18, and to even make it better, caught a touchdown pass.
So it was really 19 for 19
Yeah.
because he could have influenced though for one for Alon Rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, super impressive. I don't know if you saw the Dan Campbell interview after, where basically they like one of the reporters mentioned that to him, and he had no idea that Goff was perfect, and he was like, "Oh crap! Well, I just gave somebody else the game ball, so whoops."
Yeah, that was the first touchdown pass he's ever caught, he said. And yeah, Campbell was unaware that he went perfect. I was actually really impressed with how the Seahawks played despite
Yep.
what is that, a 13-point loss. Gino 38 for 56, almost 400 yards, touchdown, one pick. Another 38 rush yards. I really like what Gino's doing with the Seahawks. They have three good wide receivers there. Throws a pretty ball. He's connecting with DK well. He had 38 first downs in this loss. That's the most ever in a loss in NFL history. 38 first downs.
Mhm.
Detroit 7-1 in prime time now since 2022. Put them in the spotlight. Goff and the Lions play well.
Yeah, this was a really fun game, like back and forth. It honestly was so refreshing to just watch that and just pretend like it was the only game on TV last night. Uh, it basically the Seahawks did play well, but they had no answer for Detroit. The run game, pass game, everything was just so efficient. It was clicking. Once they were down like two scores, it basically felt over because it was pretty much just like there's no way they're actually going to be able to stop them. They did actually stop them by getting a safety, although I was a bit confused why that was a safety, but that's kind of beside the point. Uh, they had to like review that later on. I don't know if you saw that one or not.
It was just
I
weird coaching calls by the Lions in the first place to be
Yeah.
throwing it at that point in the game on your own.
Well, it there was a 2 minute warning, so it was going to be automatic like stoppage anyway. But
But I
that
guess
part
like
of the
that's the
field,
question.
it was
Like
weird to throw
we
from
know
that
the
part of the field.
Lions are really, really good, but
Yeah.
situationally, when it comes to the playoffs, little decisions like that, can the Lions make the right decisions, stick to the right game plan when the game becomes really important?
Mhm.
I trust that they're going to go out and win 12, 13 regular season games, but when they get
Yes.
to, I don't know, an NFC championship game,
Hmm.
what kind of calls is Dan Campbell going to make? That's where I really want to see it. And I don't know if I trust him yet, but we will see. There was another game on Monday night. Not really. We had Mason Rudolph versus Tyler Huntley, Titans and Dolphins. If you remember last year, Mason Rudolph played Tyler Huntley. It was Pittsburgh versus Ravens.
Steelers, Ravens, yeah.
So they meet each
Goodness.
other again on Monday night. Tyreek was
Terrible.
upset on the sideline. We'll get into some Tua and Dolphins talk later on, but as far as watching football, that was not good.
It it's tough because he's not a bad quarterback, but I feel like if there was one team to like have to just come in and play for on like 1 week's notice, the Dolphins have to be the toughest. Like, yes, you have weapons, but the amount of like just knowing all of the motions, knowing all of like how to run the offense, I feel like it would be a complete nightmare. Like, I, they have so many different like I feel like formations, motions, and stuff. I feel like it would be so hard to like understand, and that's what blows my mind because you can't like prepare a guy quickly for that. We've seen Skylar Thompson. We know he's terrible. Like, why are they? Why would they not just at least have somebody that could function in that offense, especially considering Tua's injury history? It makes no sense.
It doesn't make any sense. We'll get into the Tua backup QB talk in a bit. Let's get into the Sunday night football. The Ravens defeat the Bills 35-10. Lamar and Derrick Henry together were just a rushing machine. They had 253 yards of rushing combined. There's a clear formula for the Ravens to win, and that's having Lamar throw the ball 20 times or less and giving Henry 25 plus carries. They've done that the last 2 weeks, and it has worked really well. The first 2 weeks, they didn't have this formula at all. They were having Lamar throw it and giving Henry like 15, 18 rush attempts. I really like what they're doing. They found a formula here. I think they're going to stick to it. Uh, the Bills really had no chance in this game. They just ran into a buzzsaw here.
Yeah, I think the first 2 weeks it became a little bit of like a game script thing, because they got down early and they got away from it. Obviously, like against the Chiefs, it's kind of tough. I mean, that's legit team, but against the Raiders, like I feel like even if you get down early a little bit, these last 2 weeks have kind of shown them that just stick with it, stick with it. Like it was their first 2 games having Derrick Henry. I think the Titans, uh, it was always a thing. Like even if they got down early, they'd stick with it because you know what Henry can do in the fourth quarter, if you keep running it on him. So I think they're still kind of learning how to use him. It seems like Derrick Henry is just an ageless wonder in the age of running backs. I'm really not sure we'll ever see a running back kind of like that anymore. It just we don't have guys at that position like that anymore. It's not really. It's almost a dead art at this point. But
Yeah. He's averaged 8.3 yards per rush last game. At that rate, give it to him every time.
yeah,
The Bills, I mean, they had a weird play in the third quarter. They tried a trick play. They muffed it up, didn't work well. Josh Allen got absolutely railed. I think Dawson Knox got hurt on the play as well. Either way, they fumble it. The Ravens get it. It was 21-10 at the time. I feel like they didn't need to pull that trick play. You're in week 4. You're still in the game. At that point, when they gave the ball up, it seemed like the team kind of, I don't know, gave up, but it seemed like they gave up a little bit.
it's. I mean, this Bills team is very good. They've dominated some opponents recently. Uh, you're playing a team that they probably expect to see again in the playoffs, and maybe it is one of those things where it's like, okay, you know what? Let's just calm down, not show them anything else. Uh, we can take our loss. We're playing in a horrendous division that we're going to be able to win at no problem. Uh, and maybe there is a little bit of that. Protect your guys, and you realize it's not really going your way, and live to fight another day.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Allen got absolutely railed on that play. He got up, he was okay, but still. MVP odds right now. We were looking at two potential ones right there in Allen and Lamar. Who do you like so far? Is it one of those two or is it someone else?
I think Lamar is playing great. I think with how they're playing, it'll be a little interesting to see where he falls later in the year with the MVP odds because simply I don't think he's going to have that much as far as stats because
Right. Yep.
for them to win, he just really isn't going to have to do a ton that will boost his stats. I mean, he's still making plays, but if you're only throwing 15 to 20 passes, your numbers aren't really going to be inflated. So I would lean Josh a little bit that way.
Yeah. They still have
Uh,
they got
I'm
Mahomes leading still at plus 300, followed by Allen,
yeah,
and then
that
followed by Lamar.
that seems insane to me.
Hmm.
Mahomes looks awful, like really bad. Um, I'm very interested to see if there's been any movement kind of on like Jayden Daniels, stuff like that, like teams that, or even like a Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, these teams that were not expected to be great, but then have guys playing out of their mind right now. Obviously, they'll have to keep that up, but that kind of signifies like MVP to me, like a guy carrying a team that otherwise you maybe would not have expected to be winning all these games.
Yeah. Let's get to Thursday night football. The Cowboys defeat the Giants 20-15. This game was supposed to be like a get right game for the Cowboys. They played around with the Giants. They snuck out a win. If the Giants had any sort of red zone offense, the Cowboys would have lost this game. I mean, the Giants won time of possession by 11 minutes. They had more yards, more first downs, less penalties. If the Cowboys were not playing the Giants and they were playing just a decent football team, it would not have turned out 20-15.
Yeah, the Cowboys just could not get off the field. The Giants, uh, I mean, it's Daniel Jones. Like, it shouldn't be that difficult, but they kept hitting third downs. They kept hitting fourth downs. They were just finding a way to get it done and just stay on the field. And the play disparity was strong. The time of possession was strong. And although the Giants weren't really able to do anything with it, it was a pretty ugly performance from the Cowboys defense.
I mean, other than
Just,
CeeDee Lamb going for a 50-yard, was that 55-yard touchdown? If that play doesn't happen, they lose this game.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I thought Dak had a pretty good game. He was pretty efficient with it. They just like, I don't know. I felt like they just never had the ball, so they couldn't really end up getting away because like they would score and then have to wait like 10 minutes. I think that at one point in time, I think there was a full like 15-minute stretch. It was like end of the second quarter, beginning of the third quarter, where literally the Giants had the ball for like 15 of a 16-minute stretch within the game. Literally, the Cowboys just never even had the ball. They could not get off the field. Whether it was Daniel Jones just finding Wandale Robinson on like third and four, third and five, it just they just kept kind of keeping themselves on schedule, and Dallas couldn't really do anything about it.
Yeah, Micah Parsons gets hurt. DeMarcus Lawrence gets hurt. That's probably the two big stories
And,
coming out of that game. They have
and that's
a
probably a big part right there. I mean,
Yeah,
you
I
start
mean they
losing
have a
pass
longer
rush.
rest now, but still, it sounds like DeMarcus Lawrence is going to be out for a couple weeks. Unsure about the Micah Parsons injury, maybe only a week or so. But yeah, it's scary. Their defense does not look good. Playing a division rival like the Giants, they got to take care of games like that a lot better than what they did. Uh, Vikings defeat the Packers 31-29. Vikings got out to a quick start, putting up 28 points in the first half. It felt like maybe waiting one more week to start Jordan Love could have been the right decision here. It took him a while to get going. He was throwing off his back foot a lot, but once he got going, he got going. I have Sam Darnold and I have Jordan Love on my fantasy team. I kept Love on the bench. I started Darnold. I was like, he's been playing great. I'm gonna keep him in. I don't know what I'm getting with Love. So after the first quarter, I'm like, hell yeah, I made a great decision. Sam Darnold's killing it. Look back at the fourth quarter, and Love has 28 fantasy points with 3 interceptions. And it's like, started the wrong guy. But either way, you were in good hands there. Offensive galore in this game. Vikings look really good on offense and defense. They got the number one D on fantasy, averaging 13 points per week. Packers are now 0-2 with Love and 2-0 with Malik Willis. It's a weird world, the NFL. What did you see this week out of
Yeah,
this game?
yeah.
You
I mean,
like the Packers this week, you said.
yeah. I don't remember. I don't remember what I was saying last week,
It's
but
very convenient to not remember when you're wrong.
yeah, I don't remember exactly how to talk. I did like the Packers in this game though. I thought this would be the game uh, where they'd kind of be able to get on the Vikings. Um, but they just got jumped on early, basically. Jordan Love looked super rusty early. He was like missing throws, even some throws that were there. They were in poor placements. Behind the receivers, low, missing high. He was just missing, and I think it was just rust, being out for a few weeks. But obviously, in the second half, not really garbage time because they kind of made it a game. It was kind of garbage time, but he sort of got right, got in a rhythm, was spreading the ball around, looked a little bit more like what we'd expect. So these are two pretty good football teams. That NFC North is pretty stacked, so it's going to be definitely a battle. But these Vikings Packers games the last few years have been pretty fun.
Yeah, the Vikings are, I mean, they got a script. They're well coached. I'm looking at Sam Darnold's pass attempts. Week 1, 24 attempts. Week 2, 26 attempts. Week 3, 28 attempts. Week 4, 28 attempts. Real consistent with what they're doing with him. Where do you have O'Connell on your coaching list for top coaches in the NFL right now?
Yeah, O'Connell's a good coach, man. He does well with his quarterbacks. He puts them in good position or good positions to succeed. He's done a really good job this year marrying the run with the pass. Obviously, having Aaron Jones has helped a lot with that,
Hmm.
having a good running back. But uh, I got to give a lot of props this year so far to Brian Flores, though. Like,
Yep.
obviously, like head
Yep.
coaching did not really work out for him, but some guys some guys just are better coordinators than they are head coaches, and
I think we're seeing that with Cliff
this,
Kingsbury. Yeah, we
yeah.
might be seeing that
So
with Flores. I
I
think he
think that's
might get another
absolutely a
shot
thing we're
somewhere
seeing
else,
right
but
now.
yeah. But
Yeah, I mean
where do
that's
you have
awesome.
O'Connell though on your list? I mean, obviously, I feel like Andy Reid's probably the top guy right now. Where would you go after that?
He's not going to be in my top five, but
No.
I think absolutely he's going to be probably in the top 10. I mean, there's a lot of not great coaches in the NFL. Like it just is. It's a revolving door. But I mean, he's not going to be in your Andy Reid like top tier uh, list. But I think he's a very very solid coach. He has lost a lot of close games with the Vikings in the last few years, but I think a lot of that's just they had some kicking woes. They've had some turnover issues, whatever. But uh, so far, this has been a really, really good start to the season. And this was a season where I kind of had them pegged as a team that might struggle, and then potentially him being on the hot seat.
Yeah, I mean, as of right now, I put my coaching list together. I got O'Connell in the top 10, and he's closer to 1 than he is to 10. I'll say that. I'm looking at the Vikings schedule coming up. They're 4-0. They got the Jets this coming week in London. They then go on a bye. They have the Lions at home, and honestly, Vikings at home, that's a home field advantage right now, with that crowd. Then they got
Mhm.
the Rams, the Colts, the Jags, the Titans, the Bears, the Cardinals. There's a lot of W's on that list. The Vikings realistically playing how they're playing, they're looking at 11-1, 10-2, 9-3 after the first 12 weeks. Do you think they're locked up for the playoffs based on that schedule coming in and how they're playing? I mean, I guess no one's locked up for the playoffs, barring injuries and
How
whatnot.
they're
But
playing, how they're playing, absolutely. If they can maintain that level, maintain that health, because you got to remember they literally just this week got Addison back from being hurt. We're expecting next month or so TJ Hawkinson to come back. That can only be a boost as well.
mhm.
So I do think this team has not only potential to continue playing as well as they are, but they do have some boost coming as well. So uh, I think as teams get film, they do pick up on some things. So there will be adjustments made, but so far, I mean, they're playing great football, and I don't know if I'm ready to say they're winning this division, but yes, I absolutely think it is very realistic that they're taking one of those wild card spots at a minimum in the NFC.
All right. One of the upsets of the week: Broncos defeat the Jets 10-9. This is like a 2023 classic Zach Wilson Jets game. You hold the opponent to 10 points and lose. Jets at home, off extra rest against a rookie quarterback. I'm in a pool where you pick the games every week. There's 25, 30 people in it. Every single person had the Jets. No one picked the Broncos. You can't lose this game if you're the Jets. You cannot lose this game. If I told you that Bo Nix threw 60 yards of passes, I mean, they're when you look at the stats, you're just like, how did the Jets not win this game? I don't get it. You can't lose a game like this.
Yeah, these two teams set back football about 40 years. But bottom line, the Jets on third and fourth down were four of 18 for the game, and they had 13 penalties in the game. Like you cannot do that to yourself. Uh, Basically, you're stalling out drives, and then you're costing yourself. Like you cannot do that and expect to win games. I don't care who you're playing. The NFL, like I mean, there are bad teams in the NFL, but teams are not bad enough that you can just basically lay over and do that. You're going to lose games, and I don't know if this is a coaching issue with the Jets. Obviously, there clearly seems to be a rift between Rodgers and Robert Sala, but they need to get that cleaned up because right now this is a team that, after taking a step in the right direction last week, maybe took two or three steps back this past week.
Yeah, 13 penalties for 90 yards, a lot of false starts. Rodgers was sacked 5 times. He was hit 14 times. The O-line was just an absolute mess. When you look at the 4 games they played, like, okay, they lost to the 49ers. They beat the Titans barely, only because Will Levis was playing. They beat New England. Everyone's like, okay, they look good, and they lose to Denver. Honestly, they have one good game out of that 4 game stretch against a terrible football team. They had extra rest, like I said, coming into this week. There was no reason to have 13 penalties, 90 yards. The one common denominator I can think of all of this is that Nat Hackett sucks. He was sucked
Yeah,
in Denver. He sucked at Jets. It doesn't matter whose team he's on. He's going to get you the L. Uh, they have the 18th most efficient offense in the NFL this year with Nat Hackett and Aaron Rodgers. That's kind of just what they are. The 18th best offense in the NFL. I mean, you want them to be a top 5. They got Brees Hall, Garrett Wilson, and they're just not that. So, their next 3 games, they got Minnesota, Buffalo, and Pittsburgh. So good luck. I don't know how they're going to do in that next 3 game stretch. This could be a downfall for the Jets really quickly. Let's get to the Chiefs and the Chargers. Chiefs defeat the Chargers 17-10. If I told you that the Chiefs started this game, fumble, interception, punt, 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 you wouldn't think they won the game. That's a terrible way to go. Mahomes also ended Rashee Rice's season trying to make a tackle. There was not a whole lot good going on for the Chiefs in that first quarter. However,
that
they
was,
do win and get 4-0.
yeah, that might have been. We were talking in our fantasy league. That might have been the single worst play in the history of our league. I have Mahomes and I have Rice on my team. So not only did I take a -2 for the pick, but my terrible quarterback that has been awful all year decided to take out potentially the guy who has been the best player on my team and end his whole season. I'm not sure I've ever seen that before. Uh, but yeah, Mahomes. In fact, I don't see how you can win MVP if you're taking out your best weapon for the year. Like, how is that even?
Increasing your
You're
MVP
like
odds. Take
least
out your
valuable
take
player.
out your weapons so that you can be the man. I don't
Oh,
know.
yeah, well, see, now I have to be Superman. Now Juju is my number one wide receiver. So
Well, man.
clearly, I'm good again.
What do the Chiefs need to do? Can they just get through the regular season with this roster? Do they need to bring in another weapon? If they do need to bring in another weapon, who is it?
Realistically, they can get through the rest of the regular season, and they probably will without too many problems. I mean, they're going to lose some games, but they're still going to make the playoffs. Their run game is solid enough. I thought Kareem Hunt looked pretty good. Showed some decent juice in that game.
Carson
I
Steele
think.
did not, but
Well,
Kareem
no,
Hunt did.
he's not good. He can't hold on to the football. I mean, he's essentially lost his job. He's fumbled twice in 2 weeks.
Yep.
But Kareem looked good. I think they're going to be able to ride that, obviously, as long as he stays healthy. They are getting CEH back this week, which hopefully should help. Travis Kelce looked a little bit more like himself. I think this sort of run game, quick passing, maybe get some shots to Worthy, and then let the defense work. Like the Chiefs, it's not going to be super pretty. Obviously, they've lost their number one running back and their top 2 receivers, potentially all 3 for the year. Uh, so it's not going to be super pretty, but I have no doubts this team is making the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, with that defense and Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid,
Yeah.
they're gonna scrap it together. That defense is really good. So they're gonna have a lot of low scoring games this year. It's not gonna be the high powered Chiefs that we're used to seeing, but I think they'll make it through. Bears defeat the Rams 24-18. Bears find a run game with Swift finally and capitalize on a severely injured Rams team. I have Swift on my fantasy team. Great week to keep him on the bench. 29 points. Finally goes off the one week. I'm like, you know what? Let's sit him. He's not doing anything. The Rams really had nothing going. The Bears defense is playing good. Caleb Williams playing a little bit better. He took a lot of dink and dunk stuff. I think that's where you see Swift coming in. 7
Mhm.
catches on 7 targets for 72 yards. So that's his 4th or 5th option most of the time. He's hitting him a lot. Kind of his safety blanket this week. I'm interested to see if he keeps that going in the next couple of weeks or not.
Yeah, I don't want to see Caleb like fully handcuffed and not being himself a little bit. But I think it's okay that he is taking the checkdowns a lot and building some confidence with that. I mean, we see, Mahomes is a guy that a lot of people compared Caleb to as a guy that freewheels. He's kind of a gunslinger, will do some crazy things in the pocket, escape, find people. Mahomes also throws to his running backs a lot. He has no problem taking the check down and doing that. So I do think it is good. I'd rather see, Caleb take the check down than force something into double or triple coverage. Um, I think him building some confidence with some easy throws, getting a win like this is a good thing. And then, basically find some comfort in the game, and then you can start letting your arm talk and start getting some of your swagger back, and finding some guys downfield.
Yeah, Caleb on throws 10 plus yards down the field, 32% completion percent. Not great. 28 passer rating. I'm not 100% sure on this, but I believe your passer rating is a 32 if you just kneel the ball on every play. So by throwing it 10 plus yards down the field, he is negatively affecting the team. But the Bears have a great defense. When Caleb does not turn the ball over, they're 2-0. So when you're a rookie quarterback and you have a solid defense, I feel like your number one goal is don't turn the ball over. Take those little check downs, get some completions, get it going that way.
Yeah,
I liked what I saw out of the Bears a little bit more this week. Still not there on the coaching staff and the offense though.
yeah, I agree. This Bears team is like, it is built good enough that a game manager can win 50% of your games with this team, with the defense, with the playmakers around it. It is built well, so it is a friendly spot for a rookie to come into. It's just basically trying to get him to fit into that, because obviously he is the gunslinger, and if you turn it over, that kind of defeats the whole purpose. But uh, it's kind of his nature. Like, you want to marry the two. Like, yes, on third down, like, do your thing, but stay within the system, take care of the football, trust your teammates. That's going to be the secret for him going forward.
Yeah. NFC matchup here. The Bucs defeat the Eagles 33-16. This game ended in the second quarter, despite the box score saying they played all four quarters. It really ended in the second quarter. Eagles trailed 24-0 in the second quarter. Bucs ended the Eagles season last year and they beat them down again. They have the Eagles number in Tampa. At one point, the Bucs had 254 yards of offense and the Eagles had 0. What has to change in Philadelphia? I mean, you're not getting rid of Hurts. He's paid. Uh, I feel like Nick Sirianni's job is treading on very, very, very thin ice right now. Hurts is regressing. He doesn't look good. 4 touchdowns, 4 picks. AJ Brown and Devonta Smith are out. Why is Saquon only getting 10 touches? Is this a Kellen Moore thing, a Sirianni thing? It's not good in Philadelphia right now.
Yeah, I think they had really hoped they would have at least one of AJ Brown or Devontae Smith. Neither was ruled out significantly before this game, like early week. They both were practicing through the week. It looked like they were hoping to get them to play. I I still think the Eagles are going to be fine. They need to get AJ Brown, Devontae Smith healthy. Like, without both of those guys, this offense is really going to struggle. But if you have both of those guys, I think it will start looking more like what you want it to look like, because Saquon is allowed to eat when you have two safeties up there to cover for your receivers. That then all of a sudden you take care of that mismatch. They start coming down, then you hit them over the top. Like, you need both to help basically make it so the defense has no way of fully stopping you.
Right.
And right now they don't have that. And Hurts has not been great, but it's kind of hard when your number one wide receiver is like Jahan Dotson. Like, that is pretty rough. I'm not saying they should have started as terribly as they did against the Buccaneers, but uh, I do agree Sirianni probably is an issue,
Do you think
but
he makes it
I'm
through the
not.
season?
Yes, because I think they start winning games soon as AJ Brown and Devontae Smith come back
Okay.
and get healthy.
Yeah, that makes
So
sense.
I think as they start winning more games, it will become less of an issue. Although overall, I do think they would probably be better off with somebody else running it. I don't think you're going to see a change made mid-season when they're in the middle of a potential playoff race.
Yeah. Baker's playing well, threw for 347 yards, 2 touchdowns, ran for a touchdown. I think the note I want to say here with the Bucs is look at Bucky Irving, Rashad White. Bucky Irving, you've been talking about this. He's getting more snaps. They had the same number of carries this past week. And I think as the weeks go on, like you're going to see Bucky Irving's numbers keep ticking up and up and up.
Yeah, he's just flat out been a better runner than Rashad White. Rashad White's been very inefficient. Rashad White is fantastic in the pass game.
Yeah, he's like
Really
kind
good
of a little
receiver.
receiver, but yeah.
Really good receiver. He had a couple okay carries in this game, but Bucky Irvy's definitely like more dynamic, running between the tackles, hitting holes, just flat out. I mean, he's averaging like 2 yards more per carry than Rashad White is this year.
Hmm.
I think there is a good sort of. I don't think it has to be one over the other. I think they do pair up pretty well together, but I think you'll see them used kind of as like a 1A, 1B going forward.
Yeah. All right. Last game we're going to talk about here. Commanders defeat the Cardinals 42-14. I did not see anything about this coming. I had the Cardinals. Jayden Daniels and Cliff Kingsbury. That's working. I heard a story. I was told that Cliff Kingsbury started designing the offense for the Commanders and Jayden Daniels months before they even drafted him. The Bears didn't even bring in Jayden Daniels for an interview. So the Commanders knew months before they drafted him that they're getting their guy. They've been working on it. Cliff, I hate saying his name, man. Cliff Kingsbury. He's got a good offense figured out so far. They're setting records. I'm interested to see how long it takes the league to catch on to what they're doing. But for right now, Jayden Daniels, 82% completion percentage through 4 weeks. That's the highest ever. It's not just the highest for a rookie, it's the highest ever. The person that's right below him, number two, Tom Brady, at 79% through 4 weeks. That was back in 2007. They have more scoring drives in Washington this year than they do incompletions. I mean, they've only faced bottom 10 defenses. We'll keep that in mind. But they're putting up historic numbers in Washington right now with a rookie quarterback.
You could also argue bottom 10 defenses through 4 weeks are influenced by who they've played. So these
Mm-hmm.
teams are bottom defenses because Washington has diced them up so far.
Yeah.
Uh, they have looked awesome. And they have looked awesome with their top wide receivers being Terry McLaurin, Olamide Zaccheaus, and Noah Brown, basically. Uh, this is a team with the recent news that I think is a very, very serious candidate to grab Devontae Adams going forward. I think he would fit in great
Oh,
flipping conferences. So, like, a lot of people
oh,
talking Chiefs, but Raiders
yeah.
don't want to send Devontae Adams within the division. This is a team that was a lot of people were expecting to be a bit of a rebuilding sort of thing. Well, that clock has been sped up. You have a rookie quarterback on a rookie deal for the next what, 4 or 5 years.
And Devontae's
So
probably got another. I mean, he's old, but he's got another probably 2 or 3 good seasons left in him.
absolutely, he's a guy that you could add to this team. He can immediately slot in. Him and Terry
Terry's
would
the
be a
deep guy,
great one
so
too.
you give Devontae. Yeah, I mean,
I, I think it would be a really, really good fit. Obviously, love pairing a veteran receiver with a rookie quarterback. Uh, you know, somebody kind of show him the way. I think it'd be a really good pairing and would absolutely put this team in serious, serious playoff contender um, territory.
we'll like that. Well, hot take there. Devontae Adam to the Commanders. Okay. I mean, I have him on my fantasy team. I don't like him out right now. So if he goes to the Commanders and he's got Jayden Daniels throwing him the ball, I'd probably like that more than AOC or Gardner Minshew. All
Yeah,
right, I like it. Devontae Adams to the Commanders. They are playing the Browns this coming week, a real defense. So we'll see what they can dice up. Let's get to our
absolutely.
power rankings. All right, at number 10, we just talked about them. I gotta throw them in there. The Commanders, they're 3-1. They're setting offensive records everywhere. Jayden Daniels is playing like a top 5 quarterback. It's working. Let's see if they can put up against the Cleveland D this coming week. At 9, we got the Bucs. I got to give Baker some love here. 3-1. They beat the Commanders, so we'll put them one ahead of them. But looking at their wins, they got some good wins here. They got the Commanders, the Lions, and the Eagles. Baker's playing with confidence, and the defense is solid. At 8, I got the Packers, 2-2. They lead the NFL in big plays. They're 2-0 with Malik and 0-2 with Lowe. A little weird. They have the most takeaways on defense. At 7, we got the Texans, 3-1. They have a top 10 offense, top 5 defense. They've been quiet. Not a lot of talk about the Texans, but they're 3-1. They're chilling. They're doing fine. At 6, we got the Bills, 3-1. Their linebackers were out this week. That hurts against the Ravens. They had an off night. They ran into a deadly opponent. This happens in the NFL. They'll bounce back. They're a good team. They're going to be fine. At 5, I got the 49ers. They're 2-2. They're getting Kittle. They're getting Debo back. They lead the NFL in time of possession. What that means is their run game is still solid, even without McCaffrey. CMC may not see the field this regular season, but that's okay. I still think they're got plenty of weapons. Mason's taken over just fine. At 4, we got the Lions, 3-1. Goff has finally stepped up the past few weeks, 88% completion over the last 2 starts. Their defense is a little unsettling, but their roster is elite, 7-1 in prime time since 2022. At 3, we got the Ravens. They're 2-2. Their run game with Henry and Lamar is insane. Number 1 rush offense, blew out Buffalo. These guys are going to win a lot of games. I want to see if they stick to the script in the playoff. The regular season doesn't concern me too much with the Ravens. At 2, we got the Vikings, 4-0. They got to be here. I couldn't figure out another team that should be here. It's them. Their defense under Flores is playing great. Pairing that with a high-powered offense, they're getting a few more weapons back. They have the most sacks. They're 4-0 against the spread, too. Good team wins. Great teams cover the spread. And then at number 1, we got the Chiefs. They're 4-0. This is a mess everywhere. Rashee Rice out, Pacheco out, Hollywood out. 4-0. Doesn't matter how they win, they do. Mahomes is playing terrible. 5 interceptions through 4 weeks, but again, they're 4-0, so they'll stay up top. What do you think about that? We got a lot of NFC teams there.
Yeah, I think we talked about like the high power, like the Ravens, Bills, Chiefs, like AFC top, but it really seems like that mid to upper tier in the NFC is really
I mean,
rising up,
even
especially
right
with
outside my
Washington.
power rankings, I got Seattle and New Orleans 11, 12. I mean,
Yeah,
they're both NFC, so 6, 7, 8 of the top 12 teams in the power rankings are NFC. A lot of firepower over on that side.
yeah, I would definitely agree. I think overall they're more just flat out bad teams in the AFC.
I
So
agree.
that's
Just
definitely
tire
bringing.
fires. Yeah.
Yeah,
All right. We talked about this a little bit earlier, but let's really get into it. The backup situation in Miami. So Tua's out. Obviously, the backup situation is not good. We tried Skylar Thompson. Nope. We brought Tyler Huntley in. I don't know what to make of him yet. I mean, you just brought him in. That's a complicated offense, but still not great. 64 quarterbacks played last year. Tua is one of the most injury prone quarterbacks in the league with concussions. You just paid him. This year, 8 teams have already used more than one quarterback. That's 25% of the league. Why was a legit backup not on the roster? It doesn't really make sense. If you're going to invest all that money into Tua and 200 and something $1 million, maybe invest, I don't know, $10 million for a 2-year deal into a real back. Like, I'm looking at some of these other backups here. How much do
you
you
can't
think?
tell you can't tell me that Joe Flacco wouldn't have that offense cooking right now.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, how much do you
Like
how much do you think Andy Dalton makes in Carolina?
not enough. That guy's been awesome.
2-year, 10 mil. So 5
Yeah,
mil a year. You're telling me
yeah.
if you're going to pay 200 and something million, that you wouldn't want a little insurance for $10 million on that? Or,
Mhm.
I, I mean, I don't want Jameis running that offense down there, but like, what do you think Jameis makes?
uh, J, uh, Jameis probably getting like 4 a year, 3 a year,
Exactly.
three and a
For
half.
a year. Like, we're
Yeah,
not spending a ton of money here on backups. We're
Jameis
spending,
needs to start in Cleveland though. Oh my God, I mean, goodness, that's a whole other thing. But
yeah, no, like I wouldn't want him down
Stone's
there
been
in
awful.
Miami with that offense, but just
Yeah,
the point is these backups that are viable are $5 million a year.
I don't know.
We're
I feel like Jameis would have Tyreek getting 20 targets at like he'd just be like he's out there somewhere. Just
no,
Tyreek be having like
actually, now
250
that I
yard
think about
games.
it, yeah, Tyreek would have 250 yards. Jameis would have 5 touchdowns and 5 interceptions, and the Dolphins would win or lose games 57-51. Like, I don't.
It would be fantastic. I mean, it would be the greatest. It would fix Tyreek's season so fast.
Either way, Skylar Thompson is on a 4-year, $3.7 million deal. He is cheap. Why don't we just, it just doesn't make sense. Where is the backup quarterback position in your mind on the importance level of a roster? Like,
I
obviously, if
feel
you could say take one player to start your team, you'd go quarterback first. Like, wait, where does that backup quarterback come in?
I feel like it always sits like kind of far down until your quarterback gets dinged up and you just realize how awful it is. Yeah, I mean, it's got to be as far as backups go. I mean, it's still got to be probably your number one most important backup because like the biggest drop off in a team is going to be like if your quarterback gets hurt, that's probably going to be the biggest drop off in your team. Even if your backup's a good player, like immediately your wide receivers haven't been taking reps really with the backup. They rep with the starter. Like it throws everything off. Like if a running back gets dinged up, you can put another guy in there. It'll probably look mostly the same. Obviously, like offensive line, you'll see like a big difference, and depending on who the wide receiver is, you can see a pretty big difference. But like on the offensive side of the ball, everything kind of runs through the quarterback. Like having a backup quarterback that can at least allow your offense to function within your system is pretty important. And if you don't have that, like the second your quarterback goes down, you're going to look really bad.
Especially with the amount of injuries we're seeing. Yeah, I have if I was going to start a team, I got quarterback 1, left tackle 2, edge rusher 3, cornerback 4, backup quarterback 5th position before a star wide receiver. I mean, if my quarterback goes down, like doesn't matter that I have a star wide receiver. I got to have someone
Yeah.
to throw him the ball.
I mean, I'm not going to pay like a backup quarterback more than what I'm paying my star receiver, but just going
No,
out and
no, no,
making
no,
sure
no.
that
I'm
I'm
not
securing.
suggesting. I'm not suggesting you pay him that like that. But I'm saying you got to. I'm fine paying a backup 5, 6, 8, $10 million.
Yeah.
Like as long as he's there and I know he can run the offense. I don't want to. If my quarterback goes out for a 4-game stretch, I want to know that we can go 2-2.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You don't want your season to just straight be over, especially when you're a team that's expecting to be a playoff team. Like,
And that's what we're seeing with the Dolphins. Their season
yeah,
is pretty much over.
it's
With yeah.
it's yeah,
All right. Best division in football. I feel like there's only one answer here. What is it?
NFC North
Yeah,
in my
there's no
opinion.
question. The
Uh,
worst team in the division
fine.
right now is the Packers at 2-2. That's if that's your fourth
I
place
mean,
team.
Packers are better than the Bears, I
Well,
think,
we know that, but yeah.
but yeah,
And then worst division. I got 2 of them here that seem reasonable. What do you think?
I'm going with the AFC South. The Texans have been good, although the AFC South does not have a single team with a positive score differential on the year. The Jaguars are a nightmare. The Titans are terrible, and the Colts are not very good either.
Yeah, I agree. AFC South is it's not good. The thing is, I think the Texans are going to win that division with 10, 11 wins. I'm looking at the NFC East. They might be back to the NFC least though. We could see 8 and 9 winning that division again. I mean, the
I think the
Commanders,
Commanders are that good. I think the Eagles are going to win games when they get guys back. I think the Giants and the Cowboys have their issues, but none of
if
those
you get
teams.
to a positive record in the NFC East, 9 and 8, I'm almost guaranteeing that takes that division.
I'm double digits is getting there. Eagles are getting there with double digits, or the Commanders
You're
are going to
higher on the
continue
Eagles
with
than I
that.
am. I think they're a mess.
I'm telling you, when AJ Brown and Devontae Smith come back, that is going to look like a different team again.
They were there last year too. What happened?
They had issues, but
They're still
I mean, I'm just telling you, I think they're going to put it together when they get their guys back. They didn't have Saquon last year. The problem is when you have Saquon plus those guys, when you have all those guys, there's just too much talent around to not just be able to exploit defenses.
yeah. This is interesting. So Tom Brady starts announcing this year. I was taking a look at it. I was just thinking about it like, wait, that was a blowout. That was a blowout. I was looking through it. Tom Brady only calls blowouts. Week 1, Cowboys blowout Browns. Week 2, Saints blowout Cowboys. Week 3, Ravens blowout Cowboys. Despite the score, it was a blowout.
That was a 3-point game.
Despite the
So
score, it was a blowout. Week 4,
you are such a Cowboys hater.
Bucs blow out the Eagles. So Tom Brady this coming week, he's got Cardinals at 49ers. Which team's going to blow out which team?
That is one of the biggest spreads of the week. So
Yeah, so I mean that trend could hold true. We'll see. Trevor Lawrence, let's talk about him for a second. He hasn't won a game since November 26th, 2023. That was at the Texans. He has 9 straight losses. The Jags did win a game back in week 16 last year.
they won by like 30.
Yeah, 26-0. But CJ Beathard was quarterbacking that game. So
It's against the Panthers though, so that doesn't really count.
yeah, so no win there for Lawrence, but 9 straight losses, hasn't won a game in 11 months. They got the Colts, the Bears, and the Pats coming up the next 3 weeks. Can he get a win in one of those 3?
So the Bears and the Pats games are both part of the London series. I think they win one of those games. I
They
don't know
do
which
they do
one,
do well in London. They have done
but
well in
I
London.
think they win at least one of those games, potentially both. They might go 2-0 in London. This could be a fun little they only win outside the US sort of thing. Uh maybe
I heard
that's
this
part of the
week.
NFL's grip.
Someone said I don't know where I heard it. Billionaires don't like getting embarrassed. So if they go over to London and get embarrassed by the Bears, they're just gonna leave Doug Peterson over there.
Yeah. Just make him get his own fight.
Make him
Maybe
sail home.
this is part of the NFL script though. The Jaguars only win in London so that the NFL can be like, okay, let's move a team to London. And since they only win there, they just get to be the London team and Jacksonville loses their team.
Can you imagine how pissed McCaffrey must have been when he read the script this year?
Yeah. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
gonna have yeah.
Hey bud, just
Tough.
take the year off. All
Gets to
right.
sit on the couch instead of getting destroyed
We
by the
tried
defensive line.
this segment last week. I liked it. We're gonna run it again. Fact or fiction. I'm gonna read some stats here. Andrew's gonna tell me if it's fact or fiction. We got 5 of them. All right. Justin Fields has more fantasy points than Kyler Murray.
Fact.
That is a
Huge
fact.
week this week.
Yeah, Justin Fields is number 6 and Kyler Murray's number 10. According to PFF, Daniel Jones is rated higher than division rivals Dak Prescott and Jalen Hurts on the season.
Oh, I hope not. I feel like Dak hasn't been that bad. I'm gonna go fiction there.
No, it's fact. Daniel Jones 20, Dak 22, Jalen 27. Not great quarterback play in that division right now, except for Jayden Daniels. All right, next one. Lions have 2 running backs in the top 10 fantasy players for running backs.
I think that's fiction. They've both been good, but I think they're slightly outside.
Oh, it's
Or Gibbs.
fact. Gibbs is 8 and Montgomery's 9. Yeah, they got
Yeah,
2
we have
running backs in the
weird
top
scoring in our
10.
league. I'm pretty sure Gibbs like 16 in our league.
Nico Collins is averaging 122 yards per game through the first 4 weeks.
He's been awesome. I'll say fact.
It is a
Could be
fact.
more.
It is a fact.
Yeah.
That is
He's
a
on
lot.
2000 pace, I believe,
Yeah.
if I'm not wrong.
489 yards through 4 games.
Yeah.
According to PFF, Houston has 3 wide receivers ranked in the top 25.
I feel like Tank hasn't been that good, but I'm gonna go with fiction.
It is fiction. They have 2. It's Nico and Diggs. There's only
Yeah.
one team with 3 top 25 receivers. That is the Vikings. They got Addison, who hasn't played much, Justin Jefferson, and Jordan Naylor. Yeah, he's
Taylor's
been
been
solid.
great. Yeah.
Yep. All right, let's get into fantasy. Let's get into fantasy. All right, week 4 booms. Who boomed this week? There was a lot. There was some high scoring this week, depending on who
Finally.
you had.
Yeah. Finally, we're getting out of the week 1, week 2, just terrible start. Chase Brown, 2 touchdowns, finally blew up. A lot of guys early in the year were thinking that he would be a potential steal in drafts. Hadn't really been getting much volume, but really blew up against the Panthers this week. Got a shot at Jayden Reed, another huge week. I mean, he's been awesome in fantasy this year. Obviously, he missed that one game, but especially with Jordan Love, he has been really, really good. Nico Collins, he's been unbelievable in that Houston offense this year against Jacksonville. We're really targeting all wide receivers against Jacksonville, and he took advantage this week. Got to shout out Justin Fields. We just mentioned it. Played against the Colts. He had a huge week, over 30 points.
I feel like he was on a
Running,
lot of waiver wires, and now he's not.
yeah. I mean, his ability to run the ball, and then obviously he threw for over 300 yards. If you have Justin Fields and he throws for over 300 yards, you're getting a huge week because he's going to be throwing running on top of that. Derrick Henry, we talked about it, ran wild against Buffalo. Uh, I think we mentioned it earlier in the year. He was my pick to have the rushing crown in the NFL, and that pick is looking quite good right now with how this Baltimore offense is functioning. And then I got to shout out Kenneth Walker, the third, against Detroit. Detroit has been really stingy against running backs so far, and he got in the end zone 3 times. He looked really good. Actually found some running lanes against that Detroit Lions defense. So definitely a really good week for him.
Yeah, you said most of them. I'll throw Baker Mayfield in there, 29 points. He's been great in fantasy this year. I feel like he's been hanging on a lot of people's benches, but he's been putting up numbers. The 49ers defense put up 27 points against New England. Ridiculous. I mean, that looked like a varsity team was playing the freshman team. It looked bad. Younghoe Koo, 20 points for the kicker. I said this earlier. DeAndre Swift finally went off for 30 fantasy points, mostly on catches. And then Jared Goff, 18 for 18, plus his own touchdown catch. That gives you a boom. Week 4 bust. Who busted this week? There are quite a bit of them.
This was a guy that we both liked. We had him as a start. Devin Singletary did not have a great game against Dallas. Dallas run defense had been rough. We thought it would be a good spot for him. And even with a couple defensive linemen getting hurt for the Cowboys, he really didn't get much going on the ground, and he busted. Brees Hall, 4 yards rushing against Denver. The Jets offense just did not function as it was supposed to, and he took the brunt of that. Really, really forgettable week for him. I'm gonna throw Rome Odunze in here. The Bears they were throwing to the running backs a lot. He only ended up with one catch against the Rams. Never got anything going. James Cook, obviously this game kind of got out of hand early. He only had 9 carries. Never really got anything going against the Ravens. Tyreek Hill, like with how the Dolphins' offense right now is working, it just uh, he's. I don't know if I put him as like you can't start him. Like I don't know how you put Tyreek Hill on your bench. He's one play away always, but this offense is a nightmare. And lastly, I'm gonna put it in here. Uh, I don't want to blame Rasheed Rice, but like maybe I'll blame Patrick Mahomes. I'll put Patrick Mahomes in as a bust because you can't be taking out your best receiver potentially for the year. That was awful. And yeah,
Yeah, big bust there. You know who ends up on this list a lot is Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts just loves ending
I
up on this bust
yeah,
list.
I
Oh,
figured I can't even include him on there. It's expected at this point. Just stop putting faith in Kyle Pitts. It's not gonna happen.
yeah, 0 points, 3 targets, no catches. Zay Flowers got 2 points. I mean, I said this before the year. Lamar Jackson has never gotten a wide receiver to a top 25 fantasy year. I think Zay Flowers is a great wide receiver. He's going to have good games, but with how Baltimore wants to play, rushing Henry and Lamar, Zay Flowers is going to have weeks like this where he probably didn't play bad, but just didn't get targeted.
They just don't need him essentially.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Carson Steele, if you started him, shame on you. Minus points at the running back position. And then I want to highlight Josh Allen here, 7 fantasy points. He is either a crazy boom or a crazy bust. He has 2 games now over 30 points and 2 games under 10 points. Nothing in the 20s. So Josh Allen's either going off or doing nothing. Let's get to week 5. There are some buys this week. We got Lions, Eagles, Chargers, Titans on buys. So these week 5 starts are going to be a little more important now. What do you like?
So I've got 3 running backs as startums this week. We'll start off with Najee Harris. This might be the first time I've ever had Najee Harris as a start and not as a sit. I usually pick on him, but you've got Warren dinged up. Cordell Patterson's been dinged up. Najee's been getting a ton of work. They are playing the Cowboys. Cowboys potentially have some issues on the defensive line with some injuries. I know we tried to target him last week, didn't work out. We're going right back to the well. I think this is a good spot for Najee. He's been unlucky, not really getting touchdowns and things like that. He got some really good passing volume last week, so or passing production. I think it was 3 catches, but he got like 50 yards receiving, which is awesome to see. So I like Najee this week. Uh, I like Trey Sermon. There is very real potential that Jonathan Taylor is not playing in this game, and they're playing the Jaguars. Terrible defense. Trey Sermon could be a candidate for 20 plus touches, potentially. I mean, touchdowns. He's a good quality running back, and he should be able to fill in that position for them. And then lastly, Ramondre Stevenson playing the Dolphins. Dolphins are a mess. Uh, Patriots are probably going to be potentially scoring some points in this game. I know their offense isn't great, but if the Dolphins don't move the ball, they're going to have the ball in plus position, and Ramondre can probably get in the end zone.
All right. I like basically all of the Packers versus the Rams this week. Jordan Love seemed to put it together last week. I think he's gonna have another good one. Christian Watson's out. He's always out, it feels like. So Romeo Dobbs, Wicks, Reed, I think they're all good options this week. Chuba Hubbard versus Chicago. It's a good D, but Chuba Hubbard's been on fire. 27 points, 22 points the last 2 weeks. Uh, let's see if he keeps it going. Justin Fields versus Dallas. They have some players out. They're also not great with the run D. I think Justin Fields could get some serious rush yards. People have been running all over the Panthers. Swift had a good week last week, so I think Swift has got to stay in the lineup, especially with that receiving volume he got last week. Let's move over to the sits. Who are we sitting this week?
Got one big name here. I am sitting Devontae Adams if I have him this week. He was dinged up last week.
Well,
I
he's
think it was
out.
a hamstring.
He was put on
He,
IR, wasn't he?
I
No,
did not see him put on IR. He was just out last
just
week.
out. Okay.
I think he's listed as questionable right now.
I have him on my team. I probably shouldn't
Yeah.
have, but
I believe he's listed as questionable. But besides that, even if he plays, he's potentially requested a trade. His head's not in it, and he's also playing Denver, which Denver right now, Patrick Surtain, you just are not putting up numbers as a wide receiver against Denver. Your number one wide receiver is getting shut down, and I just don't want any part of that. So I'm saying Devontae Adams. Next, Chase Brown, just hyping him up for doing what he did, but he did it against the Panthers.
yep, that's what I
This week
have
he
right
plays.
here. I was
This
like,
week he plays the Ravens. I
yep,
know you're going to be tempted, like, hey, he just had a great week last week. I got to get him in the lineup. I think there will be potential to start Chase Brown later in the year. This is probably not the week to do it, though. He's playing the Ravens, brutal matchup. I'm keeping him on the bench. And lastly, Braylon Allen for the Jets has been playing some really good football, filling in for Brees. Well, not even filling in for Brees, but just playing behind Brees and uh, run the ball for the Jets. They play the Vikings this week. Vikings defense has been very stingy. I think this is a game that their Jets are probably going to be down in. They're going to have to throw it a lot. I think you're going to see a little bit more Brees action. And I don't think Allen's passing volume will get him as far as it will for Brees.
yeah. You mentioned this a couple minutes ago. Tyreek Hill, both Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Tyreek Hill last 3 weeks, 6, 7, 8. Waddle 8, 6, 7. I can't start either one of them with those numbers. I don't care what the name says. I can't start Tyreek or Waddle with the QB situations they got going on there. Sam Darnold has been playing awesome versus the Jets in London. I'm not a huge fan of it. Sam Darnold's going to have a comeback to earth moment at some point. Jets defense is decent. Jets defense needs a win. I don't like Darnold this week. Zamir White has just kind of been bad. He's playing Denver. Keep him on the bench. Jayden Daniels. I need to see him play a good defense. He's playing Cleveland this week. I don't like Jayden Daniels versus Cleveland, but I could be dead wrong on that one. And then last one is two more. Travis Etienne. Something weird's going on there with Etienne in the Jaguars. He's pissed on the sidelines. He's not getting as many snaps as he would like. Tank Bigsby is running well. Something weird's going on there with Etienne. Not sure about that in Jacksonville. And then last one is Mark Andrews. He shouldn't even be rostered at this point. He's getting 0 points on back-to-back weeks. So yeah, keep Mark Andrews away from your team. Let's go to the waiver wire. Like we said, 4 buys this week, players getting out. Who are the top waiver wire targets? You named a couple already.
At quarterback for streaming, if he's still out there, go get Justin Fields. You can play him straight away this week. It seems like the Steelers are kind of just committing to him at this point. He's been great, and there's kind of no reason to not get him in your lineup. At running back, if Bucky Irving's still out there, we were talking about last week, go get him. He's not available in every league, but if he is, go get him. Kareem Hunt looked like he's potentially taking over the backfield in Kansas City. Steele was terrible. P. Ryan's going to have a little bit of pass game work. He actually did steal the touchdown last week, which is a little tough, but I think Kareem will probably be the goal line guy going forward. I don't think the Chiefs' offense is going to be great, but they should be able to, get to the red zone a few times a game. And I think Kareem has decent pass catching value and potential red zone touchdown value. And then lastly, I mentioned Trey Sermon. Get him in there. They're playing the Jaguars. Absolutely, like potential smash spot for him. And you might get couple weeks, maybe even 3 weeks out of him because Jonathan Taylor is. They said mild high ankle sprain. I don't know if anybody's ever had a high ankle sprain. Nothing about that is mild. That's not going to be fun. And then at wide receiver, I've got Wandale Robinson, Xavier Legette, Dontavian Wicks, all guys that have played really well this past week in offenses that are kind of surging. I mean, the Giants, they looked a little better on offense. Wandale's getting absolutely peppered, PPR monster. Legette, got his first touchdown ever. Looked decent, had some drops. Same thing, Wicks had some drops as well, but they showed some good signs, and their quarterbacks were still throwing the ball double-digit targets. So there's some guys you can go grab.
Yeah, I just mentioned this. I like Tank Bigsby in Jacksonville. The ETN thing is worrying me a little bit. Take a look at him. With Rashee Rice out, check out Noah Gray, tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs behind Kelsey. He does get some work. He went 4 for 4 last week. I wouldn't be surprised to see Noah Gray start getting a couple touchdowns.
Or two tight end stats, probably.
Yeah, and a couple more passes, maybe sneak in a touchdown here or there. I like Noah Gray. Just take a look at that. And then you mentioned this name earlier. I'm almost scared to say it because I don't want anyone stealing him. But Olam, how do you say his name? Olamide Zacchaeus?
Yeah, Zacchaeus, yeah.
I had a tough time just finding him on the sleeper app, but I found him, and he last week he went 6 for 6, 85 yards, averaging 14 yards per catch. Pro Football Focus has him as the 12th most efficient receiver out there. I mean, I know he hasn't played much. He's gotten,
Yeah,
I
he's a good
believe it's
receiver. I
like,
mean, he
I
was a
believe
solid
it's
player
like,
for the Falcons for a
yeah,
while. His
10 or
fun fact,
12 catches
him.
this year, but with how he's playing,
Mhm.
I might see some increased production to him with the
Yep.
Commanders.
Him and Wicks, former Virginia Cavaliers. So UVA wide receivers, been cooking lately.
Yeah. All right, let's get into something that hasn't been cooking lately. Our gambling. It's been
Not at
bad.
all.
Nope. If you've been fading us, you've been doing well. Let's get into the lines. Thursday, we got the Bucs at the Falcons. Falcons are favored by 1.5. Sunday, we got our first international game, 9:30 a.m. from London. We got Jets versus Vikings. Vikings are favored by 2.5. Sunday, 1 p.m. window, we get Browns at Commanders. Commanders 3.5 point favorite. Ravens at Bengals. Bengals getting 3 at home. Bills at Texans. Texans getting 1 at home. Panthers at Bears. Bears favored by 3.5. Colts at Jags. Jags favored by 2.5. Dolphins at Pats. Pats are favored by 1. 4 p.m. window, we get Cardinals at 49ers. 49ers favored by 7.5. Raiders at Broncos. Broncos favored by 2.5. Packers at Rams. Rams getting 3 at home. Giants at Seahawks. Seahawks favored by 6. And in the late window, we get Cowboys at Steelers. Steelers are favored by 2.5 at home. Monday night, we get Saints at Chiefs. Chiefs are still favored by 5 at home with all their injuries. What is the must-win game of the week?
I had two. My main one would be the Dolphins playing at New England. I assume that they're trying to keep themselves close enough to the race so when Tua comes back, they can still maybe sneak into the playoffs. You cannot be losing to a bad division team. They need to win that game. And then second, I also have the Jaguars against the Colts. Jaguars are getting dangerously close to like coaching staff fired sort of thing. And so I'm putting them kind of on the hot seat there.
Yeah, that's my must-win game. If the Jags fall to 0-5 and you lose at home to a division rival, I think 5 weeks in, 0-5, season over, at home, division rival, that could be the game right there. If they lose. All right, last week I went 0-3. I am 2-11 on the year. It is actually quite impressive how bad I am doing. But hey, if you hate my picks, fade them. Andrew had a rough week as well, 1-2, brings them to 4-7-1 on the year. Last year we were great. This year we are struggling. This week I looked through the lines and I said, what are the 3 lines that I would never pick? What are the 3 bets that I would just absolutely never do? And those are the 3 bets that I'm going with. So I'll start it off with my 3. I'm taking Cowboys plus 2.5. A hurt team at the Steelers. I hate the Cowboys. There's no way that they win that game. Cowboys plus 2.5. I don't like the Browns. I don't like Deshaun Watson. Commanders are playing great. I'm taking the Browns plus 3. And then lastly, the Bills -1 at the Texans. The Texans are at home getting points. Why is that? I don't know. I think the Texans win this game. So I'm taking Bills -1. It doesn't make sense. Those are the three I hate the most, and that's what I'm taking. Andrew, what do you have?
You're trying everything to try and get some wins. I love it. I respect it. I'm going with the Vikings, -2.5, playing the Jets. I'm just not a Jets believer. This one feels like a bit of a trap to me, but being in London and whatnot, but I'm going there. Next, I'm going the Packers, -3 at the Rams. The Rams are not good. The Packers started slow, but I thought they hit their momentum late in that game, and I think that carries over into this week. And then lastly, I'm taking the Saints +5 at Kansas City. I don't know if they win that game. I feel like this is a game where the Chiefs like pull off something. It's a primetime game and they kick a field goal at the end to win, but the Saints still cover.
I like it. I hate mine. I like yours. The more research I do in the NFL, the more I dive into the numbers, the less I understand.
Well, don't use PFF.
The less I understand. It's crazy, the NFL. All right. A lot of good football this week. Got a game in London. I think maybe 5 divisional matchups. Football, it's frustrating, man. I have the highest scoring team in my fantasy league. I'm averaging like 130 points per week, and I'm 1-3. It's just the amount of frustration. Uh,
Yep.
I don't know if you get like fantasy anxiety, but like you want to win, but then there's 2 games on Monday, and your fantasy anxiety gets pushed an extra like 24 hours when there's 2 games and 4 teams playing because you just have no idea if you're going to win. When there's 1 game on
Yep.
Monday, a lot of times like by
It's
Sunday
already
night,
set.
like if
Yeah.
you won or lost. But like when there's
Yep.
2 games on Monday, there's so much happening. You're like, all right, I'm pushing my anxiety another 24 hours. I can still win or
Well,
lose. And
I could pinpoint exactly the moment when I lost and basically when my season ended because Mahomes decided to dive into Rasheed Rice's knee and end 2 players at once. So that was great.
yeah, not ideal for the fantasy squad.
That was about 5:12 p.m. local time, season over.
I'm gonna have to talk to my fantasy team about their defense. They're scoring plenty, but taking too many points. All right. Don't forget to follow our Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at screenplay_podcast. New episodes every Wednesday, 8 a.m., wherever you listen to your podcast. Don't forget to go on our Instagram page. Click the link in our bio for your $100 deposit match on the Sleeper app. We will see y'all next week. Good luck to Andrew in Jackson, Mississippi. What tournament is it this week?
Sanderson Farms Championship.
And you're going to Jackson State home game on Saturday night versus Alabama A&M.
I will not be doing that on Saturday night because a certain team has game day and I will be locked in.
All right. Appreciate y'all listening. Go on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Give us 5 stars, drop some likes, drop some comments, and we will see y'all next week.
Fire Tepper.